What's up, guys? Welcome back. What is going on? What's up? Welcome
What's
back,
good?
I-90 Sports Nation. Welcome back, Chicago sports fans. Welcome back, Boston sports fans. How we doing? It's been an eventful week, gentlemen. I have my
Man,
my good friend as usual and comrade JD in the house. What's up, man? And
dude, I'm
we
good.
got the resident, we should call him what should we call him, jack of all trades, a little bit of everything.
Old fart
Executive
producer.
producer, old fart.
the,
Old fart.
the executive producer in the house, Ross. But it was a eventful week, gentlemen, in sports, to say the least. But we got a really packed show today. We got about a dozen different topics to talk about, and let's dive right in, man. Let's jump right into it, and let's try. We will get back on the up yours Houston Astros Express and headed back to the Windy City, and we will start there in Chicago with the Bears and Packers recap. JD, take it away, brother. I want your initial thoughts first, and then we'll just dive into the questions.
We got to start. Yeah, we have to start with the 100-year rivalry. We have to. We absolutely have to. So, what can I say about it, man? It's been 100 years. it's been a lot of different eras, and this entire era has been defined by one guy, and that's Aaron Rodgers. He's been absolutely dominant. And it is what it is. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. I think that what I can take away from that game is that the Bears have an absolute ton to work with. They have an absolute ton of talent. They were in the game very much so for 3.5 quarters, maybe even a little bit into the fourth quarter. You could say they're still in the game, and they played good. I mean, they played really well. A few big key mistakes by young quarterback Justin Fields, obviously, defined the entire game, and it defined the entire game. And basically, what I would say is that Aaron Rodgers is right. He does own the Bears. Ultimately, we have a lot to build on. Yes, we have a really, really good foundation, but there's so much more to be done. There's so much more to be done in Chicago, and Aaron Rodgers exposed us. He exposed us for the wannabes that we are. But what is your thoughts as an outsider?
I'll tell you one thing. As an outsider, just a fan of neither team, and just a fan of football in general. I mean, not only a fan of the Patriots, but a fan of football in general. That was an entertaining game, man. That was an entertaining game to watch. To see the kind of the young buck take on the old bull there, Aaron Rodgers and company. That was an entertaining game to watch. And I totally agree with you. I think outside of a few key mistakes and bad times, I made a couple of notes down here, and I'll run them by you, and you tell me what you think. So one thing that I just from watching that game, the defense for the Bears, again, it's from the start of the year, JD, from
Solid.
week 1 on to now, they started off slow, and they've gradually there's been more than 2 or 3 games that they're the sole reason you guys are in those games. Like the Roquan Smith and Khalil Mack and the front seven, they kept you guys in that Packer game for pretty much 3.5 quarters. They held strong, man. Like I was impressed again with the Chicago D.
No, yeah, I agree. And the defense was beyond impressive. They have been all year. They're young, they're athletic, they're in Khalil Mack is in his prime. The problem is, I feel like I hope that we don't miss Khalil Mack's prime. We got a couple more years in the window. We have some clear weaknesses on the defense, but this is what I'll say: the Bears' defense already, even at a young age, even at this young stage, They're tough to beat. It takes them a long time. Like Rodgers had to break them down. It took him about 3 quarters to really wear them out. And then he did what he wanted after that. And that's just the way it goes with Aaron Rodgers. He figures out ways to do things, but yes, I agree with you. The defense is solid already at the young age that they're at. Very, very solid. Lots to build on. But yeah, it's hard to argue with that point.
Can we talk about that Mack attack? Khalil Mack.
He's a monster.
He's in the prime of his career right now, dude, and I am willing to bet that Vegas is looking at that going, man, I wish we didn't get rid of that, because he is, along with Roquan Smith, and it's you know who the biggest beneficiary of Khalil Mack being who he is?
Roquan, probably everyone, but yeah,
Roquan Smith and Johnson. It's that other side of the defense,
and
that
Johnson.
other side of the defense, because you have to plan. Dude, he's a home wrecker. He's a home wrecker and a game wrecker, and you always need to know where he is on the field at any given time. And then Roquan kind of gets lost. He gets lost in translation. And he's able to make, I've seen him make a couple of really good plays because the offense was so focused on Mack.
You said it. I mean, like Mack if you start getting momentum in one area, Mack will just turn the energy up, get a nice, tackle for loss or a solid sack. This guy can really do it all. But the thing is, Mack is that it's his very best. I've noticed when he has a solid secondary. When the secondary is playing well, Mack can do anything. He can just feast on everyone. But if there's a weakness that's being exploited, or if they're tired, they're being worn out, like we saw in the fourth quarter. What are you gonna do? I mean, like Mack he's only one man. You know what I mean? He can only do so much. So.
So that kind of leads me into my next note for the just on the defensive side. So obviously they held strong for a lot of the game, like 3.5 quarters.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, what do the good quarterbacks do over time? It's throughout. They just wear them out. It's the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady, the Drew Brees, the Peyton Manning, the Ben Roethlisberger. These guys, they just keep chipping away and keep hammering away at these good defenses, right? And sooner or later, if you keep them on the field for 35 plus minutes, come that final 10 minutes of the fourth quarter, there's just nothing. There's nothing left. They've literally exhausted every ounce of energy. And I think that's exactly what happened to Chicago, because the final quarter is what really, really sunk the Bears, because you could see they were trying, but there just was Rodgers and company just wore them out.
We needed Justin to take that step. He's just not there yet. And it's okay. It's all right, guys. Like, fellow Bears Nation, everyone who's watching this, like, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It takes guys a little bit of time. And we're going to talk about it later. But Dak Prescott is the perfect example of be patient. If you have potential, let it ride. You know what I mean? Don't let it ride. See if you can get some wins with that potential and see if you can build off of it. Justin Fields is not a lost cause by any means. He has some issues. He has some problems. These are probably the things that Matt Nagy didn't want to, the reason why he didn't want to start him to begin with. That's the reason. But
this is the rookie roller coaster, dude. This is the rookie roller coaster. It is what it is.
Exactly.
They have to learn. One, they have to learn like their limits, their limitations. Like what am I capable of right now, and how far can I push things? You know what I mean? They have to learn that, and the only way they can do that is by making mistakes. And in a way, I kind of give Fields credit, because he knew that he knew that his D was getting tired, and he was that. I think that some of those throws into tight windows like that, where it was him just trying to make a play and make a spark, and that was just him it was him trying to carry the load. And like you said it perfectly, just because he's not ready right now doesn't mean he won't ever be ready to do it. It's a process. These rookie quarterbacks have always and will always be. Their first year is it's an experience for them, man.
This game, though, it kind of makes me a little bit like, and it was a Bears fan. I have to give him credit. I can't take credit for this because it was something I saw on Facebook. It was a Facebook. It was like a pigskin group or something like. It was one of the Bears fans talking. Anyway, what they said was it was very interesting, and I had mentioned it a few weeks ago, but I didn't give it as much thought. Matt Nagy is really the person that's holding us back. And let me break it down very quickly. So Ryan Pace has put all of this talent together. And Ryan Pace, yes, he's missed on some things. Like he's not perfect at all. But I think the person that's so obviously the problem now is Matt Nagy. And that's the thing. I don't dislike Matt Nagy. I don't have a problem with him. But I think we need a change of direction. And I think that Ryan Pace, in order to keep his job too going forward, should consider somebody like Jim Harbaugh. And I know it's a big name drop, but like it makes a lot of sense. It's a defensive coach. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's had a mobile quarterback he's also had an accurate quarterback. Justin Fields is both. You bring him in. He's got a fiery personality. You take all that talent and that's a Super Bowl team in like a couple years with Jim Harbaugh, in my opinion. What is your thoughts about that?
So the biggest thing that I took away kind of for the that I'm taking away each game from the season from watching Chicago play, they're a young team. They're a young team, dude. Young teams take sometimes seasons, not just a season, but seasons to develop chemistry together with one another, right? And then you add in a rookie quarterback on top of it. So I think that's part of it. Like the team is just very young, and the experience, I think the experience will come. You're getting it they're getting better. It seems like they're getting better every game. And Jim Harbaugh is an interesting one because I kind of like that, to be honest. I kind of like that name. I think he would, it's a good mix of like new school and old school, because Harbaugh is a defensive minded guy and he would embrace the whole like smash mouth Chicago, defense, hard nosed D. But at the same time, I think he would be able to integrate work. I think he would be able to work with Lazar, better than Nagy would. And sometimes it takes a change, sometimes it takes a change like that to sometimes that can be a really good thing. A change like from a management position like that, it can change stuff. But I
just see him as the weakest link, Nagy. Like, don't you think he's like the weakest link? Like everyone else seems to be.
Don't fit the new direction of a team, dude. Sometimes coaches just don't fit the new direction that the team's trying to go in. And it's not saying that Nagy's a bad coach. It's just saying that the direction of the team is just. I just don't think his style meshes well with the style that they're trying to play.
I don't know if he's a great leader. I just don't know if he's a great leader. That's kind of all I wanted to say. Like, that's my only thoughts of the Bears is watching that game. I don't know if Matt Nagy is a great leader. I think he's a good coach. He has good ideas. He's a good football mind, but is he a good leader? And Jim Harbaugh, I know, is a good leader. So I don't know. It's something I thought of, but that's kind of all I had to say about the Bears. It was kind of what I expected. I'm just glad we were in the game for as long as we were.
Yeah, I'd like to make only one point. Bears fans should be proud right now. They went in for a dogfight. Like they shut you out in the second, third quarter. This is going to be really, really quick, but you guys were never out of that ball game. Like, I really don't care what the score says. There was a few choice plays that took you out of that game, but you guys are always in it. Your defense came to play. Your offense, other than the picks and some bad play calling, like you guys are in that ball game against the Packers, who are 5-1, who are destined for the playoffs. You guys should be proud. I was entertained, and it was a dogfight, and it was a really, really good game.
Any fans of football watching that game? It was an entertaining game, man. It was an entertaining game, and it was fun to watch. I thought into the third quarter that the Bears could actually win that game. I actually did think that they could win that game.
I did too.
They could.
I was like, let's go. We can do it. I was like, we're right there. Come on. And then
You were 3.5 quarters. You were right there. You were right there.
You could see the defense just lose their stamina, and Rodgers start hitting his stride. It was like, ooh, crap, we're done. But it was entertaining.
So, yeah, no, Bears fans should be proud. They got a lot to hold their head up this year. Absolutely. But we're gonna go from Chicago back into Boston, specifically Foxborough, Massachusetts, and into Gillette. And we will get into the Patriots and Cowboys, some Patriots and Cowboys talk. This was a good game, man. This was a dog, like, talk about a dog fight. This was back and forth, and it was another fun game to watch. But we got a lot to unpack in this. I wanted to throw things during that game. I wanted to throw things. Remote controls, beer cans, stuff that was within arm's reach of throwing. Once again, Josh McDaniels is taking years and years off my life and putting unnecessary amounts of stress on my heart. This freaking guy. If we should do an entire episode and we'll just call it "This Freaking Guy," right? And serious. All right. So just allow me to vent for like 2 minutes. This dude, he is a Twitter meme in himself. I can't with this. So I'm not saying I'm not going to say Josh McDaniels was the whole reason we lost, but for the fourth game in a row, he was more than 50% of the reason why. It's just more of the same issues. It's the big plays, and I mean like big plays, like big third downs that you need to get to keep the chains moving, to squash the Dallas momentum, like big change, like game altering moments. And you come away from a drive in that moment on like a 3rd and 6 that you need to get, and it's like 2 bubble screens in a row, or like a run up the middle and then a bubble screen, and then a bubble screen, and it's like it like the run up the middle will be like -1 yards, and then the bubble screen will go for 4, and it's 4th and 2, and you got to punt, and it's like I can't. That's a nightmare that repeats in my head over and over and over again with him, and it's just I don't understand. For the life of me, Mac Jones has proven that he can throw accurately, right? That he can put velocity on a football and he can fit it into a tight window if you need him to. If you need him to make a throw, he's proven that he can hit the back shoulder throws. He can hit the slant routes. He's done it. That throw to Nelson Aguilar across the middle of the field, Pats Nation knows what I'm talking about. That throw to Nelson Aguilar across the middle of the field, wide open, and it hits him right in the hands, and he drops it. But that was a perfect football. He couldn't have thrown that any better. And yet they don't. Once again, Josh, and because Bill Belichick's part of this too, because you had said that there's no way that Bill Belichick does not go over the game plan with McDaniels. There's no way he doesn't look at it. Both of them don't look at it. There's no way. So, and if he's on board with this kind of conservative stuff, that I'm not going to lie, dude, that's concerning to me, because the league's evolving, JD. The league is evolving, and you need to evolve with it. Like, I'm not saying Bill's a bad coach, or like, oh, let's fire him because he's not. But you have to evolve with things, and you have a new, like, the situation's different. You don't have Tom Brady anymore. He's gone. You got to accept it. This is a new quarterback. You got to do things differently. You can't be that. You can't be that guy. You can't be the same. And he's trying to be the same guy he was with Belichick, and it's just seems like it's not working, and it's like banging your head into a brick wall. Oh, it's the same thing over and over. Like, they got to just take the training wheels off the kid and just let him throw it 36 times, 38 times a game, and just see what happens. I don't know.
So
what are your thoughts on it?
I think that I think that you guys are so used to seeing a dynamic playbook that maybe it's just not like what you're used to seeing with Mac Jones, and maybe maybe McDaniels, maybe that's all he trusts him with. And maybe he's wrong. Maybe you're right that he's wrong to only trust him with that. Maybe you should let it fly. Is McDaniels worried that Mac Jones will get exposed? Should he be worried about that? Sometimes it's okay to be exposed. Sometimes it's okay to like go out there and have a shitty game and then come back the next week and you're better for it. So, but here's my thoughts about that game though. To be honest with you, that was kind of my points addressing your thoughts on McDaniels, because like I do think that actually I kind of disagree with you a little bit. I think that the game plan was relatively successful. Because if it wasn't successful, this would be a blowout. Because the Cowboys are really good. And I hate to say it because like just saying that
doesn't it hurt your soul having to
it
say
does.
That?
It does, Karam in the chat and every other Cowboys fan, Pat and everybody else. It really hurts to say that. But like I did watch the game a lot of, and I watched the Turning Point and a couple other things about it. And it's just the Cowboys they're damn good, man. They're a damn good team. So I don't think the Patriots even came close to the talent that the Cowboys had. And they outcoached from my eyes, but I didn't watch play by play. You know what I mean? I kind of like watched everything else, looked at the stats.
The highlight reel.
I thought they were more, and when I watched the I watched the show, but anyway, and it broke down the game a little bit. I thought that the Patriots outcoached the Cowboys, but that Dak Prescott's a better player, and that the Cowboys have better talent than the Patriots. What's your thoughts on that?
So go ahead, Russ. Go ahead.
I have a bit of a bone to pick in situational game management. It's not something we've had to worry about in New England for a very long time. And conservative has always been the name of the game in New England. My problem is you have a team that's as explosive and damaging as the Cowboys, who could score, with the worst defense probably in the bottom 5 of defenses. These Cowboys, they shut us down for 2 quarters of football. We punted 5 times. We only got 17 first downs in the entire game. He could not make a field goal happen in a half of a football game. We punted on times where we're inches away, with running backs running 5 yards per carry and receivers catching balls. There wasn't that many drops in this game. I just feel like at the end of the day, at times we gave up on our offense. We did not. And any team that spends $100 million on players and only uses them 5 times in a game, which is our tight end core, they use the running backs more in the passing game than they use the tight ends. You can't win ball games.
I agree with that.
Get this right. They spent $87.5 million on those 2 tight ends, and they've thrown to them in 6 games. They've thrown to them 20 times. That's not enough, dude. That is in no way.
And that is the play calling, in my opinion, because something you want to get, if you got a young quarterback, you want to use tight ends more. Like that's just something that you want to use, in my opinion.
That's your emergency outlet usually, And we got murdered by time of possession. Our defense by the half of the third quarter was completely gassed out. Josh McDaniels could not keep the offense on the field long enough to give our defense any sort of rest. So what happened was, as you saw, it all opened up towards the end of the game into overtime. That's where we got stuck. And I blame most of this loss unfortunately, on Josh McDaniels and his inability to keep the offense on the field and at least get down the field in driving situations and at least get a field goal. If we had 2 field goals in those shutout quarters, we would have won this ball game.
I mean, it's hard to argue with that. You're right. This game was definitely on the table. Like, it wasn't. Yeah, there was never a point in the game, in my opinion, that the Patriots were out of it. So, no, yeah. I mean, it comes down to the coaches.
Here's my thing, right? The Cowboys stepped up in big moments when they had to. So I have a couple of major pointers here. The Cowboys made the plays when they had to in big moments, whether it was their offense, their defense, they stepped up and they made plays and they won. You know, they made the big plays when they needed to. You know, that strip sack from Randy Gregory on Mac Jones. They got the football. You know what I mean? That's a huge momentum changing play. You know, the tackle gets beat. You know, the Patriots, Justin Herron gets beat. Randy Gregory eats his lunch and then goes and almost, you know, and tackles Mac into a different dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so here's where what really gets me, right? Here's what really gets me. The Pats defense stopped the Cowboys 3 times and got the football back, right? The last one being at 2 minutes and 40 the last one being at 2 minutes and 42 seconds. And this is the one that, like, I literally, if there was, I'm lucky I didn't have a beer can or a remote or something within arm's length, because I would have thrown it. Because so we got the football back with 2 minutes and 42 seconds, right? We get 2 first downs, and that game is over. You know, that game is over. We get 2 first downs, and that game is over. So what's that? Maybe what's 2 first downs? You know, call it maybe, let's say 10 plays. You know, you get 10 plays to make 2 first downs. And McDaniels couldn't even do that. Like, he couldn't scheme up 10 plays enough to literally run the clock out on Dallas. There was 2:42 on the clock when we got the ball back. And when we gave the ball back to Dak for his game-tying drive on the one that set the field goal up, right? The one that set the field goal up, we gave the football back to them with 2 minutes and 28 seconds. So what's that? 18 seconds, 20 seconds off that's all he managed to take off the clock. Like,
right.
That's on him. That's his job, to be like, how am I going to run this clock out and give Dak the football with 30 seconds instead of 2.5 minutes? Like, that's a failure on him as an offensive coordinator. I don't care how bad your offensive line is. Run it 3 times and, you know, run the ball 3 times, run it in the middle of the field. And get it, you know, waste the 30 seconds on the play clock and then kick it. And Dak would have 48 seconds instead of, 2.5 minutes.
Right.
So
yeah,
and then this is a big one too. One of the Pat in the chat says, don't forget about the 3rd and 25. So defense,
right.
So here's an example on the defense that just aggravates the microcosm of the game, right? And then we'll move on. Then we'll move on to the next subject, right? Microcosm of the game. It's 3rd and 25. Dak throws a dart and gets 24 of that back. They get 4th and 1, and they go for it and get 3. They go for it and get 3 yards and get another set of downs.
They're good.
That's giving up on your team.
That's just, I don't know how that's
right.
I don't know how that's possible. You know, like that's not good. 3rd and 25 and you can't get a team off the field. And then not only do you give the 25 up, but you give up the 4th and 1 that keeps the drive going. This was just a offensive and defensive nightmare for them at the end of the game. In the second half, the Patriots could not get out of their own way. The first half, McDaniels, I will give him credit. The first half, things were dynamic. They was setting things up. He was good. I'll give it to him. But I don't know what happened, but the second half things just fell apart. Dallas and Dak Prescott are too good of a team for they put their foot. They saw that we had weakness in the second half, put their foot on the throttle, and never looked back.
Well, I mean, does Belichick? Belichick has to get some blame here too, though, because anytime you score 35, you're a defensive coach. Just saying, both of them get some blame. I agree. It's definitely not on Mac Jones here. That's all I would say. It's on the coaches.
No, absolutely. There's multiple issues that they have got to work out, or this is not going to be a good year until they fix, they fix some of these issues. But now we are going to switch. We're going to switch sports, and we're going to go back down the pike on the up yours Houston Astros Express, right back into the Windy. Say, hey, BTG with a $10 donation. Appreciate you, buddy. Say, love you, buddy. Keep crushing it. Back to work. Thanks, man. Appreciate you, BTG.
It,
shout out to you, bud. Appreciate it. You know how we are. We're always working, man. Salute.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, bud. So let's head back into Chicago, JD, and we're going to kind of switch up some sports. We're going to switch the sports up here from the football field to the court. And let's talk some Chicago Bulls here. And they get a big win for the season opener over the Detroit Pistons. And once again, I got to see some of this game. I'll say this, man, that Vucevic is going to be a problem. Vucevic is going to be a problem for the league. He's better than I thought he was. I fully, I was like, yeah, he'll be good. No, he's going to be, with how he works down in the paint and how big he is and how he sets other people up, he's going to be a problem. But I want to know what you think on that game. So I'll let you take it away.
For sure, man. There was it's nice finally for the first time in 2015, 16, something like that, since Jimmy Butler left. Since Jimmy Butler left, the Bulls have never expected to win a game. They haven't expected to win anything. Bulls fans haven't expected us to win anything. But here's the thing. We expected to win this game. We expected to win this game, and Levine's expected to win this game. And he talked about it after the game. They asked him about it, and he said that the past is behind us. The last 4, 5, 6 years, it's been a failure. It's totally behind us. We have a new roster. We have a new culture. And Levine is one of the only guys that's still the starter. I mean, from the last regime, they pretty much got rid of everyone. Wendell Carter is gone. Otto Porter is gone. Everybody's gone. Everyone that you thought maybe should be gone is gone, and everybody that you hoped would be here is here. So Chicago, I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal to be a Bulls fan and a Bears fan, but mostly a Bulls fan right now because we actually have a legitimate chance at the 4 seed. In the East, 4 to 6 seed is what I'm predicting at this moment. You talk about Vucevic. Vucevic is a top 5 center in this league. When you have a top 5 center in this league, I mean that's one dimension of the game taken care of. Like, you have a strong post game. There's not that many post players in the league anymore. So if you have one, that's one dimension that you have taken care of. One guy that I compare Vucevic to that I would say is a little bit better than Vucevic, but doesn't get the stats and is heavily underrated, in my opinion, is Brooke Lopez. But that's neither here nor there. But regardless, when you have guys like that, you have a chance to win in this league. And then you surround him with playmakers like them. I mean, we've talked about it at a bunch. And
yeah,
it's phenomenal. And the Pistons, they had no chance, especially when they started rolling at the end. There's a level of confidence with these guys. all the main guys in the Chicago Bulls core are hitting their peak right now in their career. So this is exciting to see. We'll see what these guys become. Sorry, I just wanted to pass it to. What do you think, Ross?
Oh, dude, you're center. You're center. Oh my God. Like,
one of the best.
He ran those boards. Like, there was no one that could touch him. 15 rebounds on the day. I mean, 15 points. But again, he held that team together.
But
could you
15
imagine
rebounds and 15 points is, I mean, that's for a center. You can't ask much more, but that's 15 extra chances.
And I just love that dogfight mentality out of this team. It's just like all the points scored in the paint. Like half the points were scored in the paint. Like that's a dogfight in a basketball game. It was fun to see. It really was.
It's really exciting. It's really exciting to watch the Bulls be back in it.
You know what too? You know what was interesting to see about that Bulls game, JD, is with now you actually have more than just one threat to worry about on the court. So Zach LaVine is a mismatch nightmare, and you could tell they work the ball around to try and find the weak spot. That he, because a lot of the times the switch, they'll switch and he'll be a mismatch. And I mean, yesterday he got like 34 points effortlessly for him. Like he dropped 34 on Detroit, and it looked relatively easy.
Exactly. It's a lot easier when you have other guys around you, like DeMar DeRozan and Ball and Vooch.
Yeah, I think I definitely think he's benefiting from actually having real talent around him, because they can't just key on him anymore. They can't just say, oh, we're just going to shut LaVine down and the Bulls have nothing else. No, you can't do that anymore. You know what I mean? That's not the game plan anymore. That's not how you beat the Bulls no more.
And we took our bench guys and put them we took our starters and put them on the bench. Sorry, Ross. What were you going to say?
No. It's just like the only thing I can take away to say negative on your squad there. Like you guys are 90% for frickin' 3 free throws, and then like the only negative is the personal fouls. Like both.
Yeah, they had a lot of guys in foul trouble.
Yeah, both teams almost had 20 personal fouls.
I'd rather take aggression. You know what I mean, versus passiveness. Yeah.
But it was like the only negative I can take away from this. Great game.
No doubt. I think in this, the exciting thing is I think that like Lonzo Ball and Vucevic and everyone is all right, peace out, Pat. I think everyone is excited for this era of Bulls basketball. And I think that we either have the pieces to make a championship team, or we're like 1 or 2 pieces away. And that is really exciting. When you're in that mix instead of the lottery mix, it's so exciting.
Yep.
Another thing that Ross kind of brought this to my attention, but more than 50% of the points were scored in the paint. So that's like down and dirty, and that's a dogfight. You know what I mean? Like more than half the points were scored in the paint. That's the Bulls driving. You know what I mean? That's LaVine driving to the basket. That's Lonzo Ball driving to the basket. That's Vucevic working down low. That's them not.
And we do have shooters too. That's the fun thing.
But it's not.
But we don't have to. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like that's like them being like, we're not afraid. We're gonna go to the hoop and draw the foul, and if we gotta score 25 points or 20 points from the line, we'll take it.
Well, here's the other thing I was impressed with. Your defense kind of locked them down, so they didn't have one particularly star player. Don't get me wrong, Jeremiah Grant got 24 points, but a lot of these points are spread out between the entire team on the Pistons. So you guys were doing a good job of not letting one guy kind of break out and start getting hot. I was really kind of impressed with the defense.
It's a big deal. I mean, we know offense is not going to be a problem for the Bulls, but can they play defense in the, you know what I mean, down the stretch? So that is something that they will have to answer the bell. None of these guys are known particularly for their defense. Well, not none of them, maybe a few of them, but not Levine and not a lot of the key guys on offense are known for their defense. So this will be very interesting to see what happens this year and how they manage this. I'm sorry.
We got a question from the chat specifically. If you want to pull up Danny Ken Aquatics, we got a little extra time from 6:45. If you want to pull that up, JD, what's your response to this?
You want to take a swing at that one there, buddy?
So I'm trying to so Bulls fans know that if and when
we get it right.
Oh, when we get it right, okay. We'll get a championship or two because upper management will screw it up. See, that's the thing, though. You may not know this, Danny Aquanics, but we actually got a new GM. Arturis Karnosevich is, I'm probably butchering that, but regardless, that's his. We have a new GM. So you would have been right every single year except for the last 2 years. We fired Garpax. We've been talking about firing Garpax for about 10 years now, but actually Danikin, and I like the upper management. They're gone.
I'm going to call him AK, but I like you guys' new GM's attitude and mentality. I like it.
Yeah, AK. Yeah, he's the new GM. So yeah, we don't have that old upper management anymore. I'm willing to give these guys a shot until they prove otherwise. Until like we're like 5 years in and we don't even sniff the Eastern Conference Finals, then I'll start to question his leadership. But until then, I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe this is a good new direction. So I'm excited as a Bulls fan.
So I mean, my closing thoughts on this, and then I'll swing it over to you and just kind of get what you took out of it. For game one, it's a good start. That's a good start for them. The D held under 90 points, and like Ross said, nobody really was able to get any type of momentum on the Pistons. They held, for the most part, held it down. And I'll tell you, man, that style of play fits them perfect. The way they want to do that work down low with Vucevic and just create mismatches. And then use Vucevic to draw guys in and then just kick it back out. And it was that they're going to be a problem, man. I think
our best player is Vucevic and Levine is our second best player. And I'd say Lonzo Ball is probably our third best player. So we need to feature those guys the most. Maybe DeMar DeRozan. But regardless, we need to get the ball moving, and I think that's what this team is doing. And dominating the paint is that's going to make us a problem. That's hard.
Vucevic is a big body down low, and he's hard to move off the block. And that's what they did yesterday. They at times during the game, they just said, Nikola, just set up down low and stay down there, man. And there was good 6-7 minute stretches where he would set up down low and just sit there and just not, you know what I mean? And the Pistons couldn't move him. They couldn't get him out,
He's a beast.
And he's a good in close like that. He's real good, dude. Just that little turnaround hook shot, like the little turnaround hook is real good for him. And I think they're
Absolutely.
I think the Bulls could impress people this year. I think they could surprise people.
Well, I'm hoping we do. We have a lot of good match. I think we match up well with a lot of Eastern Conference teams. I think Joel Embiid would give us problems. I think Giannis would give us problems. But I think that every other team we could probably give them problems. Like for instance, the Nets. I don't think the Nets are particularly deep.
They're not.
You know what I mean?
They don't have any depth. That's their issue. That was their issue last year.
We're like 9 deep, so we could tire you out a little bit. All you guys do is rely on KD the whole time. So that's where I'm looking at that. I mean, the Bucks. If we the Bulls face the Bucks, they're screwed. But every other team, I like our chances.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. It's got to be nice too. It's got to be nice to
finally
get good solid basket. Because let's be honest, dude, Bears and Bulls run that town.
Oh yeah, huge. And I mean, and it's like if you're a baseball fan, if you got to be on the north side to like the Cubs and the south side to like the Sox. Otherwise, Yeah, what are you?
Bears and Bears and Bulls are king, though.
Oh yeah, no question. Everybody loves them. We can all come together on that, no matter what baseball team you like.
So we're gonna stick with basketball, and then we're getting back on the back on the up yours Houston Astro train, and headed back into Boston this time.
What a game!
And we're gonna go over the tough loss that the Celtics suffered in double. It did take them double overtime to get there, though. Seas lose in a good game, close game. In double overtime, 138 to 134 to the New York Knicks. Jaylen Brown dropping 46 points last night on New York. He was unstoppable. Robert Williams looked very good at certain stretches. The defense was what surprised me. They struggled. They looked good for stretches, and then there was just absolutely nothing for long stretches of the game, and it was definitely concerning. Jason Tatum's lack of, I don't want to say participation, but like he was ice cold, not good. I think he was 20% from the field.
Mm-hmm.
He did not have a good night. I mean, Jaylen Brown.
Hey, you called it.
Jaylen Brown carried that team. It was lackluster, to say the least. Lackluster from Tatum, to say the least. Jaylen Brown was out of his mind good. I did see some improvement from the bench, which is I guess you could say encouraging, but still they're not really where I'd like. I know it's only game one, but still I wouldn't I wouldn't say I'm happy about it, but hopefully they can just continue improving. The bench has been our biggest issue for a while now, and that's been their issue. The starting five has been fine, and then the bench has been meh. And like someone's chat just put it up, 7 for 30 Tatum shot.
My God,
7 for 30.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Terrible.
But that's a huge part of that's part of why they Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are their two top guys that they need to feed off one another and perform, and then they can win that way because you
guys who got paid.
Yeah, you don't just have to focus on one guy, but that was, like I said, the scoring was there, obviously 130 points, but just the defense is, to me, the major concern. That was tough, man.
Well, the Knicks are definitely a respectable team now. Like it's not like they're the Knicks of old.
Yeah, don't let me, like, I don't want to downgrade any. The Knicks are a good team. They play,
Sure.
You know what their thing that they do well is they play as a team. Like nobody on that team is overly selfish. That's what their biggest strength is.
Thibodeau.
So you don't know, you can't really key on one guy because they just all share the ball so well.
They'll switch who they're gonna run the ball who they're gonna run the offense through periodically. Thibodeau he did that throughout his coaching career, and it does help. It definitely works, and he's a good defensive coach, very intense, and keeps his players on their toes. One thing I would say is you were right, man. I mean, not you were right entirely, but like you did say this offseason, when we talked about Brown and Tatum, you said that you thought Brown was going to have a better year. So far, that's true. Obviously, it's only one game. You said that Brown was going to make a bunch of leaps and that he was a more reliable player for the Celtics. And it's like, man, if Tatum and Brown could start playing together well at the same time on both sides of the ball, think of what they could do. Think of the talent they actually could have. They'd have two guys. That'd be like Kawhi and Paul George. If you could really get it going, like maximize their potential. But yeah, I mean, the Celtics, they're I don't think this is going to be the best year for them because they have a new coach and they're building. I mean, they do have Al Horford. I think that it's going to be interesting. I think it's definitely going to be interesting. What did you see in that game, Ross?
Yeah,
you
so-
kind of just you
Oh,
did
sorry.
hit it on it. You did hit on it for just 1 second. So I think a reason why it was so easy for them to get down into the paint and work into the paint was because Horford's
Mhm.
stuck in health and
Oh, that's
safety
okay.
protocol. Yeah,
Must have
so
missed that part.
he's stuck in it. He's Horford's got the Rona. So
My only
So-
point I'd like to make on
he's
this game.
he's stuck in healthy and safety protocols for I think a week.
Mhm.
But that's so when you have no big rim protector, when you have no big presence down low, because they tried to use like Robert Williams and they tried to use Grant Williams and Robert Williams in tandem to try and defend the rim. And Robert Williams is good. I mean, he had 5 blocks, but Horford's just a big dude. You know what I mean? Like, he's just a big. Horford knows
Sure.
how to use his size to his advantage. And Robert
winner.
Williams is still learning. He's not bad at it, but he's just not a crafty veteran like Horford is. You know what I mean? Like, crafty veterans know how to use their size and know how to play guys. And he's still, Robert Williams is still learning that. Like I said, he had 5 blocks, so it's not like he was bad.
Wow, 5. I didn't know that. Holy
The
crap.
one thing that I will say with Williams is since he's so young and he's still kind of learning, he gets caught up. He over pursues sometimes, and it leaves a lane wide open. You know what I mean? He'll over pursue
Sure.
on a rotation, and it leaves the backside of the basket wide open. So that would be his one weakness that I've
Lack
that
of
I've
awareness.
noticed. Like he just gets caught up and he over pursues. That would be the one thing that
comes
worries
in
me a bit.
time. Yeah,
But
that's
doesn't
something you
mean-
can
I think
coach.
you can coach that out of him. You can coach him to just stay home.
No
Always
question.
stay home.
I mean, if there's any point I'd like to make at all in this game, I felt like this game was lost and won in the paint. Like, again, you can't have the expectation because most of the stats are pretty in line with each other. It's just when we look at points in the paint, they got 18 more points in the paint than us. That could be
Yeah.
coached, but
And
it's just this game.
insert Horford, right? Insert
Yep.
Horford, and how much of those 18 go away? You know what I mean? How much of those 18
Exactly.
points go away once you insert a real center?
Could change the game, the outcome.
Yep.
So it's definitely something to look at. I mean, it's also should be noted that with Horford and Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum, these Celtics were 1 game away from the finals just
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Mhm.
So now that he's back with the Celtics, who knows what could happen? Anything could happen at this point.
And you got to add in too, like Ime Udoka first game coaching. So it's like first game coaching. So positives, right? For a first coach, they scored 134 points. So the offense is there clearly. You know what I mean? They just when they get Horford
sure.
back, they'll get some defensive assurance, and I think they're going to be okay. This was just a good, I think it was a good starting point.
No question. I mean, and this is the team. This is a team that was a 4th seed in the East that you lost to, and they added Evan Fournier, who had an amazing Olympic run, who seems to be hitting his peak as a player, and who hit the game-winning shots. So it's like it's one of those things where
That 3 at the end was the
that's
dagger.
going to happen. Yeah,
That 3 that he hit at the end was the absolute dagger. That was it. Because
this game could have gone either way, so you can feel pretty good about that.
6-point game. It went from a 6-point game at that point to a 9, and that was it. That was the dagger. That 3-pointer that he hit at the end was the dagger.
And these guys are your contemporaries too. These are the guys you're going to be fighting for for seed at the end of the year probably. So it was interesting, and I think that the Knicks, everyone played well in this situation. It was a good game. Period.
Yeah. No, it was, and for
Except for
those
Tatum.
that, for those outside of like Knicks, for those fans that are just fans of basketball, like for the casual, for the fan just watching for the game, it was dude double overtime.
It's entertaining. Yeah. First most entertaining game of the season so far, easily. So no question about that.
Can I pose a question to you two? When we have games that are battled in the paint, do we always see a lot of personal fouls? Because if anything, like 24 and 22 personal fouls on each team during that game. What is your thoughts on that?
I feel like that was a pretty typically called game. I didn't see
Yep.
an outrageous amount of fouls. I thought it was pretty. This is the way the NBA is called now. If you sneeze on someone, it's a foul. Like this is the way they call it now. It's ticky tack. This is the way I've just come to accept that they're. It's not like the 90s, the late 90s, where you can elbow, it takes an elbow in the face to be a flagrant one.
Even the 2000s, it's not like that. You can, it's nothing like that.
The NBA has changed. It's gotten, they're very ticky-tack with stuff like that, and I think it's just the way the game's played now. That's all.
I think in the post, especially these days, not necessarily in the NBA or the EuroLeague or even NCAA, but when you're in the NBA, they want you to beat. 1 second. They want you to beat your opponent without using too much force, basically. And if you do use force, it almost has to be like in a defensive way. Like Shaq, for instance, he would get called for a charge like almost every single time in today's day and age. That's just a fact. Like he charged everybody all the time. Like if they're all they'd have to do, honestly, with Shaq is just keep their feet planted, and he would just knock them right over. So that would be a charge. Honestly, Popovich did that, and it screwed him over a bunch. So actually, it did happen with Shaq. And it probably lost him a ring or two. But one thing I will say, so that's my negative thing I would say about the NBA is that down low it's not as physical. But what I will say about, the NBA in 2021, and it's very funny because James Harden was getting mad about it already. Game 1, and I'm not going to talk about it too much, but like. They aren't calling the play where you're shooting and you dive into the guy and you like release it.
Yeah,
and
his little dive forward is
not
getting
anymore
called every time now.
Not anymore. It's not getting called anymore. So now he doesn't get that play. That's 3 times a game where he's pissed off and he's just like, sorry, can't do that anymore. So I do like that. That is a minor improvement. Hopefully we can minimize the stupid rules and maximize the like those rules like that. I like that rule.
So, let's keep it basketball here for a sec. I got a little. This is kind of off the Celtics and off the Celtics and Bulls bandwagons here. And let's I have a question or just a topic that I think is kind of interesting, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. This is LeBron's 19th season in the NBA, man. Can we just take like a few and just maybe talk about the evolution of LeBron? Because the dude is still, as much as I don't like the guy, right? I don't like the guy, the person.
Right.
But his skill set on a court is still good, still very good. And he's, like I said, 19th season playing, and he's still playing at a really high level. The evolution that he's gone through is interesting though, because now it seems that before it was, I want the ball at the end. Give me the ball, my ball. Gimme, right? And now it's with the Lakers, he was one of the better facilitators on the team when they won the title. No doubt. He's become a distributor of the basketball now, and he's letting other people and the talent around him win games over being. I mean, I'm not saying when you're a player of his stature, Kobe and Bron and Jordan, like those type of guys want the ball at the end of the game. They always want the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They always want it, right? Well, he's kind of adapting his game now to be more like now, especially the last like two or three seasons, he's a distribution guy. He's not a shoot at the end. It's let me find the guy who's going to have the best shot, and I'll use myself as a decoy and then give him the ball. But I want to,
no question.
I want to get yours. Like 19 seasons is a long time, man. He's lasted and played at a high level for a very long time.
So LeBron James, there's a lot to say about him. I mean, obviously everyone talks about LeBron all the time. Like, we have yet to talk about him on this podcast in 15 episodes, which just says a lot about our diversity as a podcast, considering everybody talks about LeBron James. But now that we are talking about him, strictly the basketball player, I'm not going to talk about anything, whether I agree and disagree with anything off the court. It doesn't matter.
The person,
it really genuine,
like the ball player.
It's a ball player, strictly as a basketball player. No one has evolved, has adapted, has learned, has changed, and has mastered the game of basketball more than LeBron James. LeBron James is obviously like, okay, I'm probably, you can clip this however you want. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. But LeBron James is overall the best basketball player of all time. You know what I'm saying? Like the glory, the fame, the love of the game, everything that went along with Jordan is too iconic to say he's not the greatest. And also just the dominance, or the scoring dominance and everything like that. But the mastering of the game. LeBron James is the greatest coach in the NBA. He's the greatest coach in the NBA, and he's still playing. Period.
I think that's what he's asked. That's what he's acting like now. He's just a coach on the court.
He's a coach. He's been a coach to me since like 2017. He's been a coach since he won that finals with the Cavs. Sorry, the Cleveland. And the thing is, yes. There's a lot to say about him. First, you know what I'll start with? I'll start with this. He is. I gotta like get it all out.
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead.
Go for
it.
The first game. So like last year, you could see the evolution in his game where he wanted to shoot deeper threes to space the floor like Damian Lillard and Steph Curry. And just imagine that. Like, you are 15 years in your profession and you see someone doing something different. You're like, I want to do that too. And you do it and you take on that too, along with the 15 years experience of the game. It's just absolute. He's the greatest overall basketball player in NBA history. Like it's amazing that there's nothing he can't do, and there's nothing he can't learn on the basketball court. It's impossible for you to, if you doubt LeBron, he will learn it. So with that, I have to give him full credit. Last night he shot.
His knowledge of the game should not and ever, like, you should not ever, like, dude, when it comes to basketball wise, like knowledge of the game and the awareness on the court, bro, it's uncanny how good it is.
He is what he is. He's the greatest. And it's just is what it is. And like, he's trying to become, and you talked about it, how he's trying to facilitate and he's trying to be a coach. He's trying to become now like Klay Thompson. He's trying to, and it's unbelievable. Like, I saw what he did against the Warriors. He's trying to let Russ and other guys kind of facilitate him into an open shot. Like, what kind of like advanced level of basketball do you have to be to like, all right, well, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pretend to go over here and then I'll be open for a jump shot. He's the one. So first he was the slasher. Then he was Magic Johnson. Now he's Klay Thompson. He does everything. So he's just, it's just unbelievable. It's 19 years in. He's trying to turn into a jump shooter. And not only just a jump shooter, but a jump shooting point guard. Just like, it's unbelievable. Here's what I'll say, though. He's never, ever returning to peak LeBron James in 2018. No.
But see, I think this is why the evolution. This is why I wanted to talk about it, because
the best.
I think
Ever.
I think he knows and he realizes because he's an
So smart.
incredibly smart basketball mind, right? Basketball mind. He's incredibly smart,
Absolutely.
right? And I think he's doing all this, JD, and evolving because he knows he's too old. He's like you just said it. He's not going to go back. He's not going to ever be able to go back to prime LeBron because he
No.
physically
He's done.
can't do that kind of stuff now. So in order to survive and stay at a high level and produce and be able to produce and help your team, you as a player have to evolve.
Do something.
And that's what he's doing. He's become the me guy, the I want the ball all the time. Give it to me in the last 30 seconds and let me close this game out to I'll be the decoy and I'll draw everybody to me and I'll give an open shot, take the open shot. It's the evolution for him it's come full circle.
Well, I think that he is I do want to talk about that, Phil. Cool Genuine Phil said Jordan over James, and I actually agree with you. But that's not the point I want to make right now. What I will say is that James he's just what he wants to do now, and what would behoove of him is to take less money. What he should do is take less money and have less minutes because he would be more effective and he could get more players.
And he would be
on
fresh
his team.
when he was used. He would be fresh and not tired and not have to worry about injury or anything.
Exactly. And here's what I would say. I think that LeBron, he should adjust his goals a little bit. I think that he should continue to be a shooter. That's a good idea. I think his only goal now, he should not chase rings anymore. There's no point for that. The ring argument is already gone because Jordan won so many rings in such a small period of time. That's gone. He'll never be the champion Jordan was. It's just never going to happen. But and he'll never get back to 2018 LeBron again, where he's dropping 50, 10, and 10. To me, 2018 LeBron, you talk about like peaks and primes and stuff like that.
I think it was 2016 to 2018 was his peak.
2016 to 2018 was the greatest player in the history of basketball. There's no question. You can't argue it. I'm sorry. You just can't. He carried his, those teams were trash, and he just grabbed them by the back of the collar, ripped them to the finals. No one's ever done that before. He just ripped them all the way to the finals. Now he has all of and that's the thing. MJ, you say MJ is still the best. I kind of agree. He's the greatest champion. He wins more. It's just I just have to give LeBron credit. Basically what I'll say is
LeBron deserves to be on that list of
he's right there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's all you're trying to say. Jordan is the Everest. He's the peak. He's
the guy. No one's going to be 6 titles in 13 years. And he went incognito for 2 of those years. I mean, you're just never going to get better than that, in my opinion. And he was the Finals MVP 6 times. I don't think LeBron should ever be the Finals MVP again. I don't think he's ever going to drop 50, 10, and 10 in a Finals. But that's just my opinion. But 19 years, that's the topic. 19 years. Let me just wrap up with this. It's amazing.
That's incredible.
And I really hope for his sake that he does break Kareem's record. That should be his only goal. Just break Kareem's record. You've made it to 11 finals. That's it. You can go off and to the sunset. That's a great career. I mean, God. So, anyway, it's amazing.
When it comes to just strictly on the court stuff, he's one of we'll just keep it on the court, right? The basketball prowess and the awareness and the knowledge of the game it's really, really, really good.
There's no one. There's just no one better, I don't think, and I think that there's very few people. There's very few people that you'd want over LeBron. Period. It's maybe Jordan. Some people might prefer Kobe, but besides, if you're building your team, besides that, Giannis maybe. There's not that many guys. That's it.
Yeah,
LeBron has had an incredible career.
There may be 5 or 6 guys that you may want over him.
That's the only people that you can even argue. And then the rest, you sound ridiculous. Like after that, so he's up there. He's
And
in the Mount
five that
Everest.
you would pick before him are like all time. Like they're like
They're the
all-time
legends, the
great.
greatest.
Yeah.
And that's like for instance, some people are like, well, Bird was better. It's like, yeah, maybe for like a couple years, but LeBron's done it for 20 years. Like, so that's just, I mean, his longevity cannot be underestimated too. Just how long he's been, durability and everything. But yeah, on the court, he is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Obviously, yeah, I think Jordan had a longer peak and he did more with his peak. But yeah, that's for the history people to argue. Also, I think that Jordan was more coachable than LeBron was. I think that was his biggest knock. I think if LeBron was more coachable, maybe found a coach and like Spoelstra. If LeBron would have just stuck with Eric Spoelstra the whole time, stayed in Miami, how many titles would he have? Let me just ask that final question. I say 5. I say at least 5.
I was going to say I would say 4, probably 4 or 5.
He's got 4, so I say he at least gets 5. He gets one more. But anyway, that's just my opinion. That's the thing, Phil. I like Kobe. That's the thing. I like Kobe better than LeBron James too. I'm a fan of Kobe more than LeBron James. 2005 to 2008 to 2000, I'd say 10 Kobe, that 5-year window, that was one of my favorite players ever. He was amazing. He was so aggressive. Every time he got the ball, that ball was going to the rack or he was going to shoot it. Like,
dude, never a doubt, never afraid too. Always
God, he was never afraid.
Always confident. Kobe was something else, dude.
Amazing. LeBron is just a coach. He's the brain is amazing. Yeah, that's anyway. There's a lot to say about those guys. We could talk about those guys a whole podcast, but we should move on for sure if we want to.
All right. So for those of you listening along on iHeartRadio or listening to the playback, there is a picture of a crying Ben Simmons up on the podcast here on YouTube.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, I thought you guys would like that.
So the name of this segment is laughing at Ben Simmons, because let's laugh at Simmons and the clown show that's going on with
too easy.
This is JD. This is ridiculous with him. What's going on? So Doc Rivers throws him out of practice for not being mentally or physically engaged. Dude, this saga with him just gets worse and worse. It like literally day by day. This is a terrible look for him. Like terrible.
Oh, it's bad. I mean, he looks like a big baby. He really does. He looks like a big baby. He just, that's all I can say. I mean, that's not all I can say about it. But would you guys want to start? Because I've been going off.
So I'll all right. So here's my take on it. Right. I never liked him I didn't think he was that good from the start. You know. I didn't think he was that good from the start. So the kid gets drafted way too high. You know. So here's why I think he's not out of Philly yet, right? They did him way too high, and they don't want to admit that they made a massive mistake. They took him incredibly high, right? And he looked like he's just not a good basketball player. Like there's no like he's just not good. He's just not good. And then. So that's that, right? He's not as good as people touted him to be, and they Philly picked him up on a pedestal and put him up there because they need that's because he was picked so high, so they had to do that. They put him on a pedestal and they showed off their new shiny toy that they got, and but in reality it was like they might have been new and shiny, but it was from the thrift store. You know what I mean?
Ben Simmons. Oh, yeah.
It was just so I never was a fan from this. I always Philly could have picked Tatum, who was the better player.
Oh, sorry. That's true. No, that's true. They could have picked Tatum. That is, or no, was that Fultz? That was the Fultz pick. No, it was Ball or Simmons. Was it Ball or Simmons?
No, I mean, it was Lonzo Ball or Simmons, I think.
But they could have picked Fultz over. They could have picked Tatum or either way. They butchered those few drafts.
Tatum overall. Tatum was still available.
They could have got Donovan Mitchell too. I'm pretty sure they could have got a lot of guys over Ben Simmons.
And Simmons. So this is I think this is them doing damage control. If you want my opinion.
This is what I'll say. Ben Simmons. I can't blame them for drafting Ben Simmons. I can't, because he had the talent of LeBron James coming out. He was like 85% of what LeBron James was coming out of high school. Here's the problem though. He has the talent and the body of LeBron James with the mentality of like what Johnny Manziel or something. He wants to go to Hollywood. He doesn't want to go to practice. He wants to talk shit about his team. He wants to throw shade on his team when he's worse than Johnny Manziel. At least Johnny Manziel showed up to training camp. He walks out of training. He's a little baby. Joel Embiid, who, by the way, I've gained
sorry to interrupt. He's not doing himself any favors either. You know what I mean? This is one of those times where you just close your mouth and hope the stuff like this just goes away so you can actually continue to play in the NBA.
Right. No, yeah, you want to keep your money at this point. This is ridiculous, in my opinion. And here's the thing. I don't care. This isn't bothering me. This is absolutely not bothering me. I'm kind of just like chuckling at this. This is like you're never gonna get this chance again, Ben, to get this. Like you're not that good, so you're never gonna see a contract like this again. I don't think ever. Unless you just go absolutely nuts for another team. So, like, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think he puts in the work that other guys put in at his position and at his talent level. I think that he took the criticism. First of all, when you play for a Boston, a Philly, a Chicago, anywhere that's red hot with the fans,
LA.
When you play in one of those places, you got to expect the heat, man. You got to you got to roll with the punches or shut off the social media. You can't get hung up on what people are saying. And here's what I'll say about how he played. That's the most important thing. He isn't as bad as they're saying he was, but he's also not even a third as good as he thinks he is. And that's the problem. You know what I mean? Like the media is saying, he
thinks he's this big all-star.
He does. Because they've already anointed him an all-star because he played pretty well and he dates Kylie Jenner.
At this point, with the current situation he's in, he should just be happy to still be in the league.
I mean, he's talented enough to be in this league, but I feel like no matter what, just based on his passing. But your mentality, when your brain is like all over the place, and I don't know what I'm getting from you. Yeah, you're right. I'm not going to pay you shit. Like you're going to bounce from team to team until you're out of the league eventually. And I'm sure the NBL would love to have him back in Australia. But no, this is a huge opportunity missed. But here's what I'll say. There's a lot of blame to go around. But before I get into that, I want you to hear your takes on just the fact that he's being stupid right now. Before I get into like the finger pointing, because I got a lot of fingers to point.
You want me to hit it first, Bobby?
So
I'm gonna grab my water and listen to you.
So, talking about Simmons?
Yeah,
dude, this is a terrible look for him. This is a terrible. The whole from his management team to him to the way he's like all of it, dude. All of it. He has him and his agent and his team. Like dude. Talk about the worst way possible to handle something. Like that's just terrible. Like he looks awful in this. There's no way, shape, or form anybody's going to even touch him with a 20-foot pole after this is finished. If he's going to continue to go this route and die on this sword, the way he's handling it, dude, nobody is going to touch him.
Not a single person. And my biggest thing is you are getting the opportunity, the pleasure of playing in the NBA and getting paid a very nice income to play a hobby for money. And you're going to say, I'm not going to run defensive drills. I'm not going to step onto that court to your coach, Doc Rivers, who has been to championships. That's the hill you're going to die on. Like, this is just pathetic. It's immature, and it's time to shut up and play. It really is for him. His best interest going forward is to shut up, go to practice, do what he needs to do, and get out of this stigma, because he's got to grow up and quick.
Yeah,
I don't think that.
Come on, man. Like your best effort in this is to just close your mouth and say nothing.
Right, especially if you want to get out. That's actually what I was going to say is that I don't think that he understands how trades work, which is and it's honestly I'm not even being that mean. Like, a lot of people don't understand how a lot of things work. I've found out in life, and this is one of them. I don't think he understands that the more he acts like an absolute jerk and a baby and a clown, the more he acts like that, the less people will trade for him, and the less often they'll offer things. But I want to break down, everything involved here. So let's take it back, wind it back a couple of years, 3 years. So you talked about the draft process, and so I remember everyone was saying trust the process. That was what they said, trust the process. That's what the Sixers fans said. So the process was Joel Embiid. That's literally what his nickname is, the process. But for some reason, they started to conflate that with Ben Simmons. And I think Elton Brand, he thought, okay, well, I got Ben Simmons and I got Joel Embiid. I'm never going to get rid of these guys. These guys are going to win championships together. And I think early on, within like 2 years of them being together, so about 3 years ago, or maybe 2 years ago, whatever it is, the year that the year right before they got Jimmy Butler, right? The year right before they got Jimmy Butler, they just didn't look good in the playoffs. Their chemistry was shit. You saw Ben Simmons unravel a little bit, just like he did last season, way back then with Joel Embiid. But then they put Jimmy Butler in the mix, and then they went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. Everything was working out well. It didn't matter what what Jimmy Butler did, or rather what Ben Simmons did. It didn't matter because we had Jimmy Butler to lean on. So when you look at they had two opportunities to trade Ben Simmons. They saw, hey, it's not really working. Let's trade him. And then it all leads up to this year where, all right, Simmons, it's all on you. There's no Jimmy Butler. And you saw what happened. He completely flopped. His mentality is weak. He's a baby. And now that people criticized him publicly, now he's crying and he doesn't want to play anymore. And he doesn't like you guys. And I don't like you. And I don't want to play with you guys. And it's pathetic.
Well, because people called him out for acting like a fool.
For not playing well either. He just wasn't good. That's what his coach called him out for. He just wasn't playing well.
What I mean. He's not a good basketball player, and they're calling him out on it now. And two, his handling of this whole situation has been awful. It's been terrible.
Absolutely. It's one thing I understand. This is the only point from Simmons that I do understand is that Doc Rivers. Sorry, I don't know what time it is. My bad. I'll finish up with this. But Doc Rivers, he said basically that Simmons he might not be a championship guy. And ever since he said that, Simmons has been really salty towards Doc Rivers. That's what his agent gave the reason for what he wanted to trade. I just think that they chose the wrong guy. They should have traded Simmons, kept Jimmy Butler, made him the focal point of the franchise. Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, you probably would have already won a title by now. And that's how I'll end that conversation. Everyone messed up in Philly, and that's where they are.
Yeah, no, that was handled terribly.
I love these memes. These are great.
So, JD, let's this is another, so we're going to go back to the NFL. And we're going to, I want to talk to you about the Deshaun Watson thing. Not so much what's going on with him, because I think it's all, they're I think they're doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes and trying to keep it quiet until they know what's exactly going on. But let's talk like hypothetically here. So, a Deshaun Watson trade, in my mind, so this is just me. I did a little bit of digging here just to find out who kind of has the most cap space available for him. Now, I came up with 3 teams. One of these teams, the Miami Dolphins, in 2022, so the beginning of the 2022 season, the Dolphins have $80 million in free cap space. They're going to have $80 million in free cap space. So let's say hypothetically, Deshaun will, and it might not even be hypothetically, it could be realistically here, whether it's at the trade deadline or at the end of the season. Now, there's 2 teams also. The Dolphins at the end of the season, the beginning of the 2022 season, will have the most money. Now, the 2 teams that have the most available cap space right now are the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'll say the 3. So Jacksonville Jaguars, the Eagles, and the Broncos. Those are the 3 teams that right now could give Deshaun $20 million or close to it right now. Now next season is a different story, but I just wanted to ask you, my 3 destinations for Deshaun Watson would be the Eagles, the Broncos, or the Dolphins. And if I'm Deshaun Watson, I would believe that these guys are fully aware of their shelf life in the NFL and looking for money. Miami would probably be the best fit. He's got Devontae Parker there. He's got Waddle. They have the tight end. They have a halfway decent tight end, and he's got a halfway decent minded, defensive minded coach there in Flores, and he could get $80 million. So Miami's you get to play in, you'd be down there in Miami in the weather, and you don't have to worry about, he'd be living the life. He'd get his money, and he'd be living the life, the Miami life. You know what I mean? So that Miami's my destination for him. But the 2 outliers, the 2 kind of sleepers, the Broncos need a quarterback, and I don't think Jalen Hurts is the answer for Philly. So I could see him in Philly too. My question to you would be, where does Watson possibly end up? Mute button.
Mute.
Sorry. Thank you. I think it's got to be either Miami or Denver. I don't think that there's any way that Philly or Jacksonville pulls the trigger on this when they have a young guy who's still developing. Hurts, maybe he's not the guy, but I'd probably give it a year or 2, maybe draft another quarterback before I pull the trigger on somebody like Deshaun Watson, especially if the price tag is higher than I want to spend. But Miami has a defense. They have a good coach. They have a lot of things around that team that, like you said, Parker and a couple of offensive pieces. So they actually have a team. They could pull the trigger on something like Watson, plug and play, and it would work out really well. I think the Eagles are in more of a rebuild. I know they have a good offensive line. I'm aware of that. Or they did. I don't know if they necessarily do this year.
They have a halfway decent line. The offensive line for the Eagles is half. It's not really good, but it's not really, really bad.
Yeah, they have a few guys. They have so they have some guys still from that Super Bowl team. They're not all gone. But they're still, I think, in a rebuilding mode. And I think that somebody like Jalen Hurts is somebody you can trust to, I don't know, just to maybe, even if he's not the guy, he won't look terrible for a couple years
until you figure it out.
Until you get a young guy. Watson, he's already 5 years in. I'm not saying he's old or anything, but I just don't see Philly as the place for him to go. I'd see, like you said, Denver. Sure, I could see Denver. They still got Von Miller. They still got a couple of. They got Chubb. They want to make some moves now. So yeah, I see Denver and Miami. What do you think there, Ross?
I don't want him to go to the Fins. I do not want that.
We would have
Brian
to play him
Flores,
if he went to Miami
yeah.
twice
My
a
problem
year.
is Flores. He's one of those guys who he can develop talent. He's doing great things over there, and I am not for it. So I want him to go to the Broncos or I want him to go to the Eagles. I don't even want to discuss if he comes to Miami because that will make our division so much more difficult. I'm hoping they screw up and stay with Tua or somehow just fall out of the running. But for me personally, hell no to the Fins. Please go to Philly or Denver. That's my only statement.
Now, Ross, Pat's Nation, JD as an outsider.
Mm.
What if here's a so all right. First of all, if you're listening on iHeart on the playback, strap your tinfoil hat on for a sec and humor me. All right. What if Deshaun Watson said, I want to Patriot, get England? Would you give up on Mac and bring Watson in, knowing with him, or do you stick with the young kid and go with Jones? So which is
You want to go first, Ross?
would you give up on Jones and go with the proven Deshaun Watson and know you have 8 to 10 years more of Watson, or do you stick with the kid? JD, I will start with you.
I'm gonna take it because I am exploding. I got the answer. I know the answer. The answer is 1,000% yes. And here's why. Let me tell you why. Because I'm Bill Belichick.
So you would can Jones and take Watson.
Can him, throw him right down to Houston. Get the hell out of here, Mac Jones. I have no problem with you. You've been a great kid. You're awesome. But I'm Bill Belichick, and I had that fishing boat. What is it called? Six rings or something like that.
Seven rings.
It's waiting for me. It's waiting for me. So I need to get to 7. I need to make it called 7 rings. I need to get that thing called 7 rings. And I need or 8. And I need to get the hell out of this ring. He is old as hell, man. Belichick's what is he? 70 years old now. He wants 2 more rings, and he wants to get the hell out of there. That's what he wants to do. He wants to say, "Hey, Brady, I got my rings. You got yours. Right there for you." That's what he wants, and that's all I pretty much have to say. He wants in Watson with all the baggage. As long as you can get, Belichick don't care about no baggage. He had Aaron Hernandez on his team. He don't give a shit. So as long as
Belichick's the least one to care about baggage.
He don't give a fuck.
He'll make it work. He'll make it work.
You don't care.
I'm kind of a middle ground on this. I would grab him, have Mac Jones sit behind him for 2 years, learn, develop, and then when Watson is playing at an elite level, top elite level, we trade him for big picks and big money. And then Mac Jones comes in, takes over this offense, and we continue our domination. That's the way I would do it. I look at it like a businessman. Because, again, we would only raise Watson's value, and by the time we're ready to trade him, he's at his peak value, and we'll get literally a king's ransom for him.
I mean, if you can pull that off, I mean, that ain't bad.
I don't know, man. Like, I just – Watson is really, really, really good. Really good, right?
Yeah.
He's really good.
Well, and Belichick ain't gonna be around that long either.
But dude, he's 5 years in, right? So all the rookie rust and all that stuff, that's been knocked off. You don't got to do that, You don't got to go through 2-3 seasons of rookie rust. It's off. We know what Watson is. He's a good quarterback. He can throw, he can run. He's a good quarterback. So
he can duel with Mahomes and Brady.
But what he is. So my question to Pat's Nation and everybody would be, if he said, "I want to go to New England. I want to be a Patriot." Would you, Pat's Nation, give up on Jones, or would you give up on Jones for Watson, or how would you handle the situation? Phil says trade for Watson as soon as possible.
I'm going to say something that might not be popular in your chat or with you guys. Mac Jones isn't that special. He's good. He's good. He could turn into Dak Prescott someday. That's his ceiling, but he's not that special. Deshaun Watson is a special talent, and you could win a Super Bowl next year with him. I'm just saying.
But see, that's the unknown, though, is like Mac is undeveloped. Jones is undeveloped. We have no clue what his ceiling is, but we know exactly what we're getting with Deshaun Watson. He was a top 5 quarterback in this league.
On the Texans.
The worst team.
On the Texans.
He had one receiver. Like, let's be frank here. Like, Deshaun Watson is a talent, a generational talent like Dak. We would be crazy not to put in an offer.
It's just a question. It's just a hypothetical question. I would just, if you're listening on iHeart or you watch on the playback, let us know in the comments what you would do. I don't know, man. I might do it. I'm sorry, like I might do it. I might actually do it.
There's a chance to me that all of this, and I don't know because I'm not in on this. I really, so all of this could be complete crap, but there's a chance to me, based on logic in the story, that Watson has done absolutely nothing wrong, and that the Texans are completely embarrassed, and that these allegations are kind of just like, whatever. Or maybe I'm put on another tinfoil hat. The owner knows some people that can call in some allegations. I don't know, because here's the thing. Here's the timeline based on Watson wants to leave Houston. He hates Houston. He wants to leave. Then all of a sudden, all these allegations come in. Then all of a sudden, now, he's toxic. We can't trade him or whatever. It looks like McNair.
The evolution of this situation has been crazy because it's like,
it's questionable.
What's true? What's not? What's this? What's that? Like, look, it's a mess.
Yeah. No, it's for sure. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. It's a mess and it's confusing. And I don't know what's happening.
Well, the most dangerous thing about Watson, he will turn a team into a playoff caliber team. Most teams by just being on the field. And I think you hit it on the head, JD. I think any team would be crazy not to at least put their name in the hat and go from there.
All right, so I'm gonna do, let's call it maybe 2 more topics, and then we'll hit on the Red Sox to finish off. JD, we're getting to the heart of the NFL season here, man, and we're starting to really get to see some of these teams shape up, and some of these guys. The MVP race is the NFL MVP race is heating up, man, and there's a couple of, there's a few guys that are really standing out to me. I'm going to give you my top 2 guys that I think, my top 2 guys that I think could, have a real chance of winning it, if they continue their current trend, I should say. So first of all, Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals in general are just on an absolute freaking tear as of late. Murray is playing otherworldly right now. He's the way that he's got that team going, and the motivation, and just, bro, he's talk about a massive leap from he's good, man. Kyler's real good. And if he continues playing the way he's playing, he's got to be top 3, one of the top 3, top 5 guys in there. The second one would have to be Derrick Henry. 6 touchdowns in 2 games right now, and he's averaging 136 yards a game. Averaging 136 yards a game. The guy is just on he's an army tank with a Ferrari engine. I've never seen a dude as big as him run like that and run as fast as That dude is out of this world. It's insane. The guy's 250 plus, and he runs the way he runs. It's something to watch, man. But those are my two guys that I'm gonna be watching. But who do you think's got a shot at it?
Oh man. Well, here's what I'll say, because I know we have there's like a defensive player of the year, but I'll start with this guy first, who I think is going to win
MVP,
defensive
man.
player of the year.
If you think he's MVP, go for it.
TJ Watt is. I mean, it's only if the Pittsburgh Steelers continue to, like, if they actually make the playoffs, get a wild card, I would have to give Watt a shout out. But here's my number one guy. Obviously, Kyler Murray and Derrick Henry, they have to be in this conversation. They absolutely have to be. But if I have to throw one guy in the conversation, then I'll throw another sleeper. I don't think the sleeper is going to get it, but I'll throw it in there. But the first guy, my number one guy, if I had to choose one MVP right now, it's Dak Prescott. Dakota Prescott. He is. He's the MVP. And it's not just the stats. It's not just the ability to play. It's that you are the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, the biggest franchise in American sports, and the pressure is insane. You have Hard Knocks, which, by the way, guys, here's another stat to think about. I just thought of this the other day when I was in the shower. It's random, I know. But anyway, Hard Knocks
from the shower. It'll be a
thoughts from the shower. Some of the best thoughts in the shower. But anyway, Hard Knocks, man. Every team that's been on Hard Knocks since the Ravens of the early 2000s has sucked. They've sucked. They've been trash, except for the Ravens and now the Cowboys of the 2021. So to me, that's mental toughness, that you are coming off a major injury and you come in, you look different. Your arm looks different. Your throwing looks different. It all better. Your mentality looks different. The running game looks more effective, almost because of Dak Prescott. The running backs didn't really change that much, but because he's so effective throwing, he's got to run. But it is really hard for me to argue against Derrick Henry and Kyler Murray. I want to see the rest of the season, and then I'll make a definitive decision. But those three are just wow. I mean, they're taking over the league, best players
too, because he's one of the heart and souls of that Pittsburgh D, and that dude has a TJ Watt. I'll say this for I have a few non-Patriot players that I do enjoy watching. That dude has a motor that dude's got a motor that doesn't quit. You want to talk about a guy that you want on your team and you want playing for your D. That dude's got a motor that doesn't quit. He reminds me a lot of Matt Judon. Just he's fun to watch, man. TJ Watt's fun to watch. He's that dude. Like I said, he's got a motor and an engine that doesn't quit. He plays till the very end of every play. He's one of the best defensive players in the league right now. The guy is just crazy.
Absolutely.
And he's so young too. He's only going to get better.
Yep. I mean, for me, honestly, it's two players. And it all depends on how far they make it through the playoffs. Tom Brady, Josh Allen.
If the Steelers go far, there's no reason why TJ shouldn't be in the MVP talk.
No, absolutely. But offensive quarterbacks on offense, I'm looking at Tom Brady and Josh Allen. If Josh Allen makes a Super Bowl this year, you can almost guarantee he's going to be high on that MVP race.
Mm-hmm.
Talent, all around gutsy, young. If he makes the Super Bowl this year, you can write the ticket right now. Josh Allen will be like probably top 3 in that MVP race. If Tom Brady goes again and wins, it's gonna be a told story. You know, it's Tom Brady. But for me personally, between Tom Brady and Josh Allen.
It's Tom Brady definitely is going to have an argument, especially just based on the story. Like Tom Brady's always going to have an argument based on the story, especially if he has an elite year. The fact that he's that old, that's
a really good point though, because of his, you got to they'll probably throw his age in there that he's 44 years old and still doing this.
And the writers are going to love Dak Prescott too. I actually think I'm worried Kyler Murray and Josh Allen. You just talked about it. Well, Josh Allen, the reason I'm not Josh Allen, he definitely will get an MVP in his career, in my opinion. I don't know if it'll be this year. This year, he might, though. I mean, like you said, it depends on what happens down the stretch. This is, I mean, we're not even, what are we, 1/3 through the season? Not even?
A third
Just
of the
about?
way, I think. I think a
Yeah.
third.
So we have a long way to go. We will see what happens. But all those guys that we just mentioned, Josh Allen, Tom Brady.
It's going to be an exciting race. There's like 8 guys in there that are realistically going to be fighting for it for the for the season.
Yeah, the only reason I don't give Dak Prescott the MVP nod just yet, they got to prove they can make it through the first round of the playoffs. Until that point, I can't look at him legitimately.
Well, he did it once.
Yeah,
but not further than that.
Yeah, that's my problem.
And he wasn't the best player on the team either. I mean, I'll give you that. He was kind of carried that on that. Was that 3 years ago?
I just see the Bills and the Bucks as 2 teams that are destined to make it through the playoffs. It's just I don't see any teams that can really match up against them. So between those two and those extra games going from the playoffs to the Super Bowl, that's going to make up those numbers that are going to say whether a guy's MVP worthy.
I'd be shocked if the Bucks didn't make the NFC title.
No, it's lining up. It's lining up for the Buccaneers to make the NFC title game. The schedule,
they're just so talented.
Yeah, it's lining up that way. So let's go down. We're gonna hit one topic real quick here, and then we're gonna jump into the Red Sox implosion and me losing my mind for until I run out of gas.
I want to hear about that.
So the last topic here, JD, there's a few games here that I'd like to hit on real quick. Just going, a preview for the week coming up. The Pats and Jets, Patriots and Jets coming up. Ross, this is a must win for New England, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Ross and JD, this is a must win game. If we lose to the Jets, it's going to be a morale breaker for the team. It really is. I thank you.
You're not going to lose to the Jets. You're not going to lose to the Jets.
We have to have this conversation.
Let's just say, it's going to be a spirit crusher if we lose to them. It's not going to be good. They need to win for morale's sake and prove that they can that they're not just the joke of a team, that they're not going to be a 3-win or 4-win 5-win, the 3-win 4-win 5-win team. They're they have to prove that they're not, this is a must win. This is a dire situation here. It's not good down in there in Foxborough there, JD. They have got to win this weekend. The Jets are vulnerable. The defense is I think sketchy at best. The Mac Jones should be able to throw on them. They should be able to run effectively. But once again, it all depends on that clown in the pitcher down there, Josh McDaniels.
Yep.
Ross, I'll just toss it to you real quick. I don't have much to say. To me, this is just a must-win game, and we need to remove head from Schrinkter and get this ship righted.
So, again, for me, very much my biggest complaint about the Patriots so far this season, through 6 games, I'm going to boil it down to one statement. And that statement is, we do not use the talent that we have. Pure and simple. We do not touch our tight ends. They get 5 receptions minimum per game lately, if we had to average it. Our running backs have just recently started being used in the pass game. We cannot have an offensive coordinator that's afraid to use the talent he has. It has been embarrassingly bad when we see what he has come up with for game plans. We play down to our competition, and then we lose those games. We lost to Miami on a 1-point differential. We lost to the Buccaneers on a 1-point differential. And then last but not least, we lost this week to the Cowboys with what? A one-score issue. He will not put his foot on the gas, McDaniels, and we are not using the talent we have. If we don't crush the Jets by at least 2 to 3 points, we are in a lot of trouble. We're 2-4. They are 1-4. That's all
We're
I can
one
say
win
right now.
better than the Jets right now. That's bad.
And because they had a bye week, we could have the same record at this point. And records don't lie. This team is better than this, and just the fact that we don't use the talent we have gives me a lot of cause for concern for McDaniels in the long run.
This is how I see it. Last time they won 25-6, the Patriots. I don't think they're going to lose this one. There are 3 things that are guaranteed in life, and that is death, taxes, and Belichick beating the shit out of the Jets. So I think that he's gonna. When's the last time the Jets even beat Belichick? When's the
We
last
need
time?
to make that into a short.
Rex
Death,
Ryan?
taxes, and Belichick beating the shit out of the Jets. That needs to be a short. That take is phenomenal.
It's just a fact.
I agree with that.
Thanks for hanging out, Rick. Well, it was 25-6 in their first matchup,
and they picked him off 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a slaughter. I think, especially after a really tough game with arguably the best team in the NFL, the Cowboys. And you come off, like you said, one score losses against the defending champions and the Cowboys, who will only have 1 loss. So I think the Patriots are going to play phenomenal. I think they're going to come out and they're going to play great, and they're going to prove that they're a 500 team. Damn it. and I think that's what we predicted from the very beginning of the year. You predicted, I predicted it. It'd be something like 9-8 or 8-9. And
at their ceiling, like 10-7.
And you're right. This is a must win. In order to get to that ceiling, you got to win this game. You can't lose this one. So I think they'll take care of business. I don't think there's any doubt of it or any doubt about it. Defensively, they're gonna pick him off a couple times. Wilson's reckless, and Belichick loves reckless quarterbacks. So I think it'll be a good week for New England personally.
The last time we lost to the Jets was in 2015 in overtime. December 27th, 2015. This game's gonna tell us a lot, and the Cowboys game told us a lot as well. We cannot live and die by conservative ball play. We got to go for the biscuit at times.
You have to be aggressive.
Yeah, 2015. Yeah, so I was onto something there. There's quite a bit guaranteed in life.
So I'm gonna say. So if I had to predict the score to this game, I would say they got 26 last. They got 26 last time, and it was like light work because they picked them off 3 times. I'm gonna say they put at least 30 up. I'm gonna go 30-10 Pats. JD, what do you think?
I agree with you. No, I think it's gonna be like I'd say 28-6. 28-6. 4 touchdowns, no field goals, 2 field goals for the Jets, and then a bunch of sacks.
Ross?
I want 31-6 on the board. I want to see 31-6. This defense versus that team, again, it might be, reaching a little bit far, but they got to make a statement in this game. They have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you lose to the Jets, you look vulnerable.
Let's be honest. Fuck the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, you lose to the Jets, you look like the third best team in the division instead of the second. And that's not good. You don't want to be in that position. So, I mean, you already lost to the Dolphins once. You're right. No, it's a must win. There's no question about it.
Oh man! All right, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to interrupt. There's this little gnat that's like crawling around my computer screen, and I squished him, and apparently he was inside the computer screen. So now there's a dead gnat in my computer screen.
Oh shit! That's How the fuck did that happen?
So
So
before
now
we move on,
now there's a dead net in my computer screen. Great.
before we move on, let's talk about the Bears versus Buccaneers.
Yeah, let's
Oh, man.
do that because that's
That's a game.
That's gonna be
I can
that'll
touch on
be
that real quick.
interesting, man. I hope that Fields and the offense like just have an uncannily good day because the D is already there. I want to see the Bears challenge the Bucs a little bit. I do. I want to see Justin Fields push old Tommy Boy to his limit.
Lil Matt.
JD, take it away, the resident Bears fan. It's all you.
This
Bro.
ain't gonna be the game, man. This ain't gonna be the game, man. This ain't gonna be it. This ain't gonna be Fields coming out party. I don't think. I mean, if it is, then I'll be the first one jumping up on my table. But I don't think it's gonna be it. Vita Vea, Devin White, they're gonna make it tough for him. They're gonna make it real tough. Who is it? Delonte David. It's gonna be a long day for Justin Fields. It is. We don't even talk about Tom Brady. That defense is gonna make Fields have a tough day, man. So I'm worried about that for Fields. I hope it doesn't turn into another Brown situation where the coach excuse me, I'm sorry. The coaches and the offensive line just completely fail Fields. I hope that doesn't happen. So I'm very worried about that. Luckily, Vita Vea is not an outside rusher; he's an inside rusher. So
and that's where the strength. That's where you guys are strength is. So you know,
maybe we have a chance.
The strength of your line is the center and the two guards. So hopefully, you guys can neutralize some of that.
We're not going to be able to. Here's another problem, though. We're not going to be able to hit the screen. This is the thing. These Bucks have done better than maybe any team that I've seen in years. Is they attack the screens really hard. They don't let you get the middle of the field very often. And it's funny because Brady always gets the middle of the field. So it's like you got on the offense, he's just picking you apart in the middle of the field. Now defense, you can't get the middle of the field.
That's
it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Another thing the Bucs D is really good at too is they open field tackle well. There's not a lot of yak from the receivers. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of yards after the catch. The corners, the linebackers, they open field tackle really well. So getting yards after the catch, I think, is going to be a real challenge.
And that's going to be exactly, and that's going to be who are we going to rely on in that situation? Then it's going to be Justin Fields. So I don't like our prospects next week, but it's a learning experience. Last time we did face the Bucks, we gave him hell. So I mean, the way to beat Brady is to get to Brady. We have the guys to get to Brady, but will Brady release the ball early like he always does whenever people get to him? I mean, he's too smart for everybody. It is what it is. We will. I have low expectations. My actual expectations are 14-28. The Bucks win. And if we get 14 points, I'll be pretty happy with that, honestly. I don't think this is a game that we can just expect to win.
You know what I would like to see? I'd like to see Chicago put a fight up. I'd like to see the Bears make Tom earn if he has to earn 27 points and it takes him every bit of the game to do. You know what I mean? If he's like, because let's be honest, right? There are games where Tom's just out there to manage the offense in the fourth quarter. But if he's actually got to play through the entire last whistle, like,
sure,
you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna lose, make Tom work as hard as possible.
If that's gonna happen, Fields is gonna have to put some damn points on the board right away. It's gonna have to happen early. Like, if that's gonna happen, then maybe we'll see something. But I don't know. We'll see. I have low expectations and high hopes.
Well, that way, if something really good happens, you'll be like 5 times as happy.
Yes, exactly.
And the last thing we'll talk about before we move on, really quick, we got to go to the trash truck game of the week, and that is the Falcons versus the Dolphins. Let's all get a little bit of a laugh, and let's just enjoy that at least.
That's a roll. That's a rolling. That's a trash truck versus a rolling dumpster fire.
I'm looking at a game where it's going to be like we're looking at 7-9. You know, these two teams, my lord, cannot use their talent to save their lives.
This
My
might be
God.
the first tie of the year.
What's your thoughts, JD, on Falcons versus Dolphins?
I got the Dolphins. It is going to be a bad game. I got the Dolphins. The Falcons have like no talent anywhere. They have no talent anywhere.
Even Matt Ryan is on the downswing.
He's deteriorating.
Now.
Yeah,
He's deteriorating now because he was like one of the lone bright spots, and even he's going down now.
He peaked with that. Well, when was it? It was man. I'm trying to think of his name. There was that really good receiver, and then there was Julio Jones. They were together, and then they made that Super Bowl run. Oh, Sanu was in that team too. No, there was one more. Oh, anyway, regardless, he had. Well, they had Ridley
Super Bowl
too.
Year to me was his peak
That year. And then once he hit that, it was kind of slowly downhill. I mean, the next few years weren't too bad, but ever since then it's been downhill. So I agree with you. It's not great. Since I can't pick the players, since I don't really know who's gonna start. I mean, is Brissett starting? Who's the starter? Is it Brissett this week, or is it Tagovailoa? Who is
question. I think Brissett is out.
I don't think it's
Brissett's out. Okay. Then I don't even know who's a starter.
I don't think it's Tua.
Well, in that case, I'm going to go Falcons, actually. Yeah, I'll go Falcons. If it was Brissett, I would pick the Dolphins. But
the two main reasons I will say the Falcons are going to win this dumpster fire of a game. Okay. What does the Falcons do? One thing they do better than the New England Patriots. They throw their stupid tight ends. Okay.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts had 9 receptions for 119 yards against the Jets.
I like the linebackers in Dolphins too.
Yep. I just think, look at this. I mean, it's like you guys do know who their running back, Mike Davis, right?
Yes.
He averages almost consistently between 4 and 5 yards a run. Okay, and then you got Kyle Pitts on the outside, just catching anything they throw. 9 receptions. I think this is going to be a win for the Falcons, but it's going to be a hard dumpster fire worth of mistakes, penalties. It's going to be fun to watch. But I give Falcons by at least a touchdown.
It's so bad, it's good.
You know why people are going to watch that game? Because it's the same reason why they drive by a car crash slow and look at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
I mean, you can see talented players in that situation.
This is the part of the show where I lose my mind, and it's rant time.
Go for it,
Ross.
My friend, hold on, getting that lovely image up for you. Let's get that ready for you. We got to put this whole thing into perspective right here.
All right. There. So let's talk some Red Sox here for a second, Ross. Let's talk some Red Sox. Me and you both being from the area, from Massachusetts, and Red Sox fans. A good word to describe the last, I don't know, 3 games maybe would be pain
and implosion
and lots of it. Yeah, and implosion would be another one. But pain and would probably be a good one there. The Sox are wildly inconsistent. It's looking more and more like they expended all their energy getting here, and now they have nothing left.
Mm-hmm.
They lost 9-1 last night, and it was we got the best performance I've seen out of Chris Sale all year. That is what Red Sox fans are used to seeing out of Chris Sale. 97, 96 mile an hour fastball, locating on the corners, ball placement really well. The slider working, the curveball working, the changeup, working. Just vintage Chris Sale. Now, prior to that game, his postseason ERA was 14.72. That's not good. That's historically bad. There's been more than one occasion, Ross, where I've been watching a game and calling the game, and I want to reach through my television and grab Cora and just yoke the life out of him. or JD Martinez, just yoke the life out of him. Right? Like another one, Hunter Renfroe. Hunter Renfroe is 1 for 32.
Yep.
1 for 32 right now. That's not cool, man.
Nope.
And although Chris Sale pitched extremely well last night, vintage Chris Sale, very, very good outing, right? 14.72 as a postseason ERA for a guy who makes $29 million is unacceptable. Sorry, not sorry. Unacceptable. Granted, we got a good night from him last night. That was a shame that those dude, if it was up to me and I was Alex Cora, players would be crapping my boot leather for a week because the hitting just did not. It's a shame that the hitting did not show up last night for him because he pitched really, really well. And it's so let me go over this, right? Let me just throw some numbers at you. All right. Let me throw some numbers at you. I gotta bring them up here for a second. So bear with me here, guys. Live. This is what you get with live stuff. I gotta pull these numbers up real quick.
Take your
I
time.
was too busy. So Kike Hernandez, right? So let's start with hold on. We'll start with him. Where is this? All right. Kike Hernandez, what counting last night, 0 for 6, right? So Kike, this is just Kike. So Kike's 0 for 6 counting last night, the last two games. JD last night, 0 for 3. Renfroe last night, 0 for 3. Devers last night, 0 for 3. Verdugo, 0 for 3. The Sox have had 6 hits in 2 games. That smells. That's terrible. That is awful. That's historically bad. That game last night was as close to a must-win as possible. As close to a must-win as possible. And the Sox just absolutely crapped the bed. Like the hitting just crapped the bed. And they got no support. Houston has all of the momentum right now. They have all of the momentum. They have got to get one game, and it's over. Yep. They win one of the next 2 games, and it's freaking over. Season over. Goodbye. See ya. Back to doing whatever. No more Red Sox. Like they have put themselves behind the 8 ball. It is just there's once again, this team shows no heart, no drive, no balls, no fight. Dude,
how many innings?
Like I said before, I was very lucky that there was nothing for me to throw because I was there was nothing. The hitters had nothing. It was, and let's get this straight, right? Now, that we have an Astro fan in the chat, and I would like to ask just one. So Christian Javier, right, the guy who pitched the other night, Christian Javier is a 24-year-old kid. Came in and absolutely mowed the Red Sox down for 3 innings. That kid from the Astros, Christian Javier, absolutely took them to school. I am beyond upset with this. So that's my thoughts on this series so far, Rush. Just wildly inconsistent and just no drive. Now there's a part B to this rant coming up, but I want to get your just thoughts on what because you were there and you witnessed it in person. So I want to get your thoughts on it and just see what you feel. I'm not very happy. So Beantown sad face. Sad face right now.
So the idea is, what do we want to touch on first? The batting situation where between 2 games we didn't get a single run for 14 innings. Do we want to touch on the in-game management decisions that completely turned this whole series around for the Astros? Or do we want to talk about the Red Sox players who give less respect to the Red Sox fans than Altuve at the end of a ball game? Like, which do we want to touch on first? Because there's so many things to break down about this team.
Let's save the Altuve and the Sox fan stuff to the end, because that was going to be my ending rant with it, because it's we probably just saw the last Red Sox. We probably just saw the last Red Sox home game, to be honest.
Yep.
And I hate and I'm usually not a pessimist. I try to keep it as real as I can, but we probably just witnessed the last Red Sox home game of the season yesterday.
Yeah, I can't disagree.
So let's talk about the game-changing moments.
Yep. Okay, let's hit those game-changing moments. Okay, Altuve. Okay, he's been hot all season and even hotter in the postseason. Why on earth, Cora, do you challenge him with fastballs? Why on earth do you not pitch around the one guy who's been our death nail in multiple games, from preseason to postseason? Like, I just don't get it. All teams do it to keep themselves an advantage. If in game 3 we did not pitch to Altuve and walked him, he would never gotten that home run, and they would never gotten the juice to win that game going forward. I can't make excuses for the bats, but I can not especially make excuses when they decide to pitch to a guy who is red hot. Red hot.
Correa as well, man. They pitched to both. They decided to challenge the 2 best hitters in the lineup with fastballs, and the Astros hit fastballs better than anybody in the league.
And again, let's get one monkey off of our back, okay? No matter if the Astros are cheating, it does not change the fact that we can't hit a baseball as well. You know, Cora, knowing with our slump with our batters, should have put those pitchers in every position to win. Take a walk and let the most dangerous guys, just let them be a base runner, because half the rest of the team was choking on the Astros. We gave them life back, and now they're going to make us pay for it.
Peekaboo. You're on live TV.
She goes, "Oh my God." I told her, I was like, "Hey, you're on now."
Wah, wah, wah.
Oh, she don't care.
This is live TV.
It's the only thing I would say about the game is so many people did not expect the Reds, including you, Bobby. You did not expect the Red Sox to get this far.
I put them.
So it's impressive that they got that far.
Wins at the beginning. Remember, we were talking at the beginning of the season. 85 wins. That's what I said.
Right.
85 to 87 wins.
So yeah, I mean, if they even make it that far, that's impressive. I mean, if they make it to a game 7, that'd be a hell of an accomplishment.
Like, they're playing with house money. You know what I mean? Like, they're playing with house money. They have been for a while now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they have to. That's awesome.
Yeah, I agree completely. We've been playing with house money, and all of a sudden we picked the worst 4 innings to go into a slump with our whole batting lineup. The worst time possible to go into a slump. And I'm tired of on-base guys trying to swing for the fences. I don't know who the batting coach is, and I don't know who makes these calls. But at the end of the day, if I see another hit into a double play or another high fly ball to center field that gets caught, I swear to God, I'm gonna put my fist through my TV. We had,
I'm telling you, bro. I had to purposely put like beer bottles and like the remote far away from me because I knew by like inning number 7, I'd be wanting to throw that sumbitch.
Bobby, we had 3 hits through an entire postseason game. No team can win a ball game that way. Not a single team.
And let's be honest here. Like I don't like being negative about the Sox. I love the Sox, man. They're like, it's just they make it really hard to like get into like 3 hits through like 6 hits through 2 games is not going to win you. The Astros are freaking stacked. Look at that lineup. You got Gurriel, you got Brantley, you got Alvarez, you got Correa, Tucker, Altuve. 1 through 7 can absolutely hit the cover off the baseball on that squad. And not only can they can all do it, and they can all do it consistently. At 1 through 7 are dangerous in that lineup. And so if your offense doesn't come to play, the score is going to be what it is down here. 9-1 in favor of the Astros. That score is going to look the exact same 8 to 9 out of 10 games that you play. Like the Astros are too good of an offensive team to not show up offensively. They will torch you.
And especially when we make bad decisions in game time, to not pitch around certain players is just categorically terrible on the coaching aspect of this game.
See, now
it was a shocking score.
And here's the thing too, like the news, the Boston news is coming out about all this like the whistling stuff and all this cheating stuff. I'm a Red Sox fan. And do I not like the Astros? No, I don't like the Astros. Fuck the Astros, right? Just like every other Boston fan, right? But I don't think they're cheating. I just think they just whooped our ass, plain and simple.
But the cheating problem is okay. Say it's even a thing.
I'm just saying, dude. I don't think they did anything out of. I watched all the little clips and the bits of footage that everybody was showing. I heard and saw nothing.
But it all doesn't matter.
Ross, we just have to admit it. The Astros just whooped our ass, plain and simple. Like they're the better team, and they just whooped our ass.
Yeah, you can't win any sort of game if you're only getting 3 hits. Like 3 hits. How?
New game though tomorrow, right? So
yeah,
we'll see what's up. Maybe push it to a game 7.
But that's like, as Red Sox fans, like I've watched all the footage over and over and over again. I've heard and saw nothing that says they were doing anything stupid or even remotely trying to do anything stupid. Like, dude, they just whooped our ass. Plain and simple. Like they were just that Astro team 1 through 7 is hitting like 300. All those guys. That's unheard of. Offensively on a team, that's unheard of. Like they are hitting the freaking cover off the ball.
Other coach cases, screw that, close that out tomorrow. Oh, because he's rooting for Houston. I see. I see what's going on.
They're always going to be number 1 in my heart.
We will see, man. We will see. It's going to be interesting. And honestly, I think the World Series will be more interesting than it has been in a few years, too.
So, and Ross just brought up another point too. He's 14 innings, JD, without a run scored. 14
God.
innings in the last 2 games without a run scored. That's like a full game without scoring a single offensive run. You can't
Yeah,
beat
that's
a team
unbelievable.
like the offense has to see. Here's what the major difference is between the Sox and the Astros. The Astros can make mistakes in this series, and they're good enough to make up for it and still win the game. We, on the other hand, have got to play perfect every single game to beat the Astros.
You were talking about, I think, in episode 1 about that, how they just didn't quite have the batting talent and they needed to invest in some people, and they didn't invest in people. And what if they would have? I mean, maybe they would be already maybe they would be up 4-2 at this point. We don't know.
Yeah. No. There's a lot of decisions that kind of led us here. Now, let's get to the last one, Ross, that you had mentioned. Now, I don't like Jose Altuve. I don't like him as a person. That little freaking Smurf aggravates the hell out of me, and I just want to take my size 14 boot and step on him. All right, but right, as a batter and as a player, I respect the dude. And he did get a little bit of respect back from me, and I'm going to explain why. Right, I think he's a little twerp, a little Smurf, and I don't like, but like he did get a little respect back from me. Now, but first, as a player, the dude is stupid good. I mean, stupid good. One of the best ball players in the league. Straight up talent-wise, ball players, grit, the guts, that home run that he hit changed the tide. It changed the tide of the series. He opened up the floodgates with that home run. That momentum instantly went to their side. He's really, really good. Like really good.
Mm-hmm.
And he also got a little bit of respect back from me because the dude's on an opposing team in hostile territory. And let's be honest, Ross, Fenway in the playoffs, if you've not been there, one, I suggest you go just for the atmosphere because it is insane.
Incredible.
It's a hostile environment. If you're playing on the away team and you're going into Fenway, it's a hostile environment. It's not a friendly environment.
They literally threw a beer at one of the officials. Like there was literally a guy got ejected for throwing a beer at a referee.
At one of the umpires. Yeah.
Umpires. Yeah.
It's a hostile environment to play in. Jose Altuve, before the game, when they were taking batting practice, took about 15 to 20 minutes after he hit and went over to the dugout, to the stands, and signed baseballs and shook hands and gave a bunch of Red Sox fans that were kids a bunch of fist bumps and signed. He went over there and took 15, 20 minutes out of, the guy didn't have to do that. And he went over there and he was actually paying attention to the fans of the opposite team. So I tip my cap to that little Smurf. That, well done, dude. That's a show of a little bit of class there.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it damns this Red Sox score.
But I mean, he signed like 3 or 4 baseballs, gave a bunch of kids like the fist bump, talked to a few of them, like just acted like a good dude, And the saddest part, Ross, is we've been to a few games, but we've been to a couple of games. It seems like the Sox players themselves aren't too interested in their own fan base, and that pisses me off because we pay their damn salaries. They couldn't take. I didn't see them taking half the interest. That's, to me, that's disappointing. That's an attitude in a clubhouse and a locker room thing. Like they need to. That's not good.
Let's just put it this way. I've been to 10 games this
Ross,
year.
I'll let you talk. That's my little my little piff about it. Like I just that rubbed me the wrong way there. To see Altuve show some class and take the time for Red Sox fans and Red Sox players couldn't do that. Like, no, that ain't cool, dude. That's not cool.
So I'll give Verdugo a pass because he was one of the few that stepped outside and actually went out and talked to fans, signed merchandise, and generally he was that person that kind of made the example. But every other player, and I've been to 10 games, my wife been to 20. Not once did any of the Red Sox players come out, sign balls.
And I've been to
wave for the
three. I've been
crowd.
to three with you, and we didn't see any of it.
Yep. At the end of the day, I give more respect to Altuve for his appreciation of the fans, or even opposing fans, than Red Sox have ever given to their own fan base. I don't like this team personally. I don't like their mentality. I don't like the fact that they don't respect the fan base that spends tons of money just to make it to a game. And they can't even come on and wave after they beat the Yankees, in a do or die game. I'm sorry. It's just, I have no remorse if they decide to implode this team next year and just keep a few valuable pieces. I have never seen a team this disingenuous to their fan base ever. And this is Boston baseball. This is the most diehard fans you'll ever meet, and they have taken us for granted. And I don't think I'll be buying many tickets next season if this continues.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good, man. To see Altuve do that more than the Sox player, like Verdugo, I give him a pass. That dude spends that dude gives everything he can to the fans. He's one of the few that actually like acknowledges them, and he'll play catch with the you know what I mean, like he'll play catch with them in an outfield. There's not a lot of them that actually acknowledge the fan base, and it's disappointing.
Well, coming from JD, you can still hear me, right? Tell me about if you had to deal with a team that didn't appreciate their fans, because when I see at the end of Bears games, Cubs games, even the Bulls games, they live and die by their fans. How would you feel as a ticket holder to look at it and see your team never once leave the dugout or ever even recognize the fans at any point? What would that do to your franchise or your fan base?
I just don't think that would ever go. That couldn't fly for long in Chicago, especially from the Bears. I could see maybe the White Sox, maybe being like that. They are on a more dangerous area of town. I could see them not wanting to engage with a lot of people. But they seem to. You know what? It's actually, I say that, yet I think they do engage a lot with their fans. But that's a little bit different. On the north side, though, oh my God, if the Cubs players didn't do that, they would get torched. There would be a local stigma again. They'd probably get traded. So, because Wrigleyville, it's especially small. You know what I mean? Like the Wrigley Field, it's especially small. So the players are like right next to the fans. I remember when I was a kid, I yelled at Sammy Sosa. I was like, "Hey, Sammy, you're awesome." And he just pointed at me. He's like, "Yeah, kid," or whatever. It's just like, if you don't do that, like, you're not gonna be beloved in Chicago. And Sosa was beloved. So
I can, I mean, my big thing is I can accept losing, but what I can't accept is a ball club or a team that doesn't give a rat's ass about its fans. And that's what this Red Sox ball. Yeah, that's what this Red Sox ball club has shown me. And at this point, I'd rather have a middling team that cares about its fans and makes me want to go to games than a team that's so far its own ass and egotistical that they believe they're better than their fans. I want this team. Again, I don't care if they go to the World Series. I don't like this team personally. And I know Boston is all about winning, but also the people who shelled out hundreds of dollars just to get a seat in your stadium, and you can't even give them a wave or a baseball. It disgusts me. I'm disgusted with this team.
And honestly, you don't have to say anything to like 99% of fans, but you have to do something for the kids, in my opinion. If you're a professional athlete, that's like your only job. Like, literally,
they don't do it. They don't do it in Boston. They don't even sign balls anymore. You get there
Then you've
early,
lost the
no.
spirit of the game.
Like,
Yeah,
in my
like
opinion.
Altuve, seriously, I'm not even kidding, right? Altuve took batting practice, right? And then walked over to where like his like dugout ended. And there was a bunch of Sox kids, like Sox fans, like that were just standing there. And he was leaning against the dugout and probably talking to him for, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes. And then he signed 3 baseballs and gave, 5 or 6 of them a fist bump and then left. But the dude spent
That's what baseball's about.
like 15 minutes just interacting
Mm-hmm.
with fans there. And he's an opposing player.
That's a real pro right there. That's a true pro. So it's, I mean, you got to give him props. You can say what you want about him, but you got to do something for the kids, man. If you're a professional athlete, you get paid millions of dollars. You got to do something for the kids.
I respected him for that, for being in a hostile environment like that, and still being like, yeah, man, these kids they come out to see baseball, and let's play some base. You know what I mean?
Give them a moment in their
Yeah.
life. That's the least they could do for all the millions they get paid. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And it was just sad to see that most of the Sox players don't do that, and it's sad. It is. It's sad.
No, that's a travesty, especially when you're an iconic franchise like the Red Sox. I mean, my gosh, that's just a travesty.
It's just not cool. It's just not cool. That's all.
It's
not,
I have no hard feelings if they want to say goodbye to half the team, even if we win the World Series. That's where I'm at. 20 games in, and not a single ball signed or anything that I've seen as a team that cares about their fans.
Yeah. But that was a good show, man. We
amazing
on a lot today. That was,
you guys,
I think, a dozen topics that we got through. As always, guys, for me, for the executive producer there with the graphics, and for JD, I think I can speak for all three of us when I say that we thoroughly enjoy hanging out with you guys and doing this podcast.
100%.
And we definitely thank you guys for the support. Now, if you're listening back on iHeart, the show can be seen live on YouTube on Beantown Breakdown. That's where it's broadcast live. It's usually a 2.5 hour show, 2 to 2.5 hours, somewhere in between there. You can get in, if you watch the live show, you can actually ask us a question live, and we try to do the very best we can to answer a lot of the chat's questions. But there's a lot of good people that watch the live show that are in the chats. So if you want to, you can check that out. Once again, it's on Beantown Breakdown. Now, if you want to share a specific clip of the show, JD has the I-90 Sports Talk channel on YouTube as well. That's I-90 Sports Talk. And the show is cut up and edited and clipped up. All the different segments are separate. So you can just click on the segment, share the segment, and, share it out that way, or just you can watch the specific segments in a row that way. But once again, that's the edited chopped up version, and the whole version of the show is, like I said, broadcast on Beantown Breakdown. And once again, guys, we thank all of the listeners on iHeart as well. And if you're interested on watching the show live, come on over. It's Beantown Breakdown. Just drop the subscription and you'll get the notification. Turn the notification bell on so you know when it goes live, and you can participate in the live broadcast. But that's all we got for you guys today. Hopefully we get a Bears win, a Pats win, a Red Sox continuation of the ALCS. Hopefully they can win tomorrow and push Game 7. But for that, guys, once again, JD, what you got, brother?
Bear down. Let's go. Woo! Let's go. Let's take down the Bucks. Also, see red. We got to see red all season. All right.
For them both, the Bears and the Bulls.
Bears and the Bulls. Let's get them.
And then like I said,
great
guys,
episode.
hopefully we get a big sports day in Chicago, big sports day in Boston, and our teams get the dubs. But for episode 15, guys, that is a wrap. We love y'all. We appreciate all the support. For me, JD, and Ross, we are out of here, guys. Everybody have a fantastic evening.
Thanks, guys.
And we are